Hello everybody, welcome back. Today is the release day of the Crimson King structure deck, so my job today was to go and hunt down 3 copies because I have been super keen for this deck's release. Resonators, Red Dragon Archfiend is one of my favourite archetypes to play, probably one of my more favourite casual archetypes to play. I think it's got a lot of that kind of just interesting things that it can do, but the new support is really cool for what the deck does. By no means would this be a meta strategy, although certainly I will be trying my best to make this work for locals in a way that can still kind of turn over wins. But if you haven't seen my 2 previous videos, I've made kind of 2 deck profiles using proxies of the support. One is more for going first, one is for going second. This structure deck though, specifically like the cards that have been selected, and we'll see that when we get into the opening here, is that the deck very much wants to go second, right? The Red Dragon Archfiend monsters are all just big blow up the board type cards that obviously they don't really work as well going first. Like what the deck can do going first is a lot more limited compared to what it can do going second. But this structure deck has included all of the kind of Jack Atlas trap cards, which aren't very strong, but also don't really help the deck go second. So even though I'm going to try and build this kind of pure Jack Atlas deck here with the 3 structure decks, going first, it's going to set up a very simple board and then try and back it up with trap cards. But then going second, the structure deck doesn't come with any of those kind of decent going second cards. It's going to help you kind of put a deck together with the 3 structure decks. So you really need to kind of put other cards and staples and things into the deck to make it work, which would be the case already. But obviously we know there's some structures where you can just put 3 of them together and do well. This is probably not going to be one of those. Oh, sorry, this is not really going to be one of those. You definitely will want to get support for it pretty quickly because the game plan is a little bit mixed. The trap cards want you to go first. The monsters want to go second, I think. But I'm going to get straight into opening one of these, and then we'll get straight into a profile using 3 of them. Okay, so we've got one of the decks here. We'll kind of just go through the cards and then kind of talk about what ones are useful, and obviously we'll see it in the deck profile as to how the ratio is going to look. But obviously we've got Soul Resonator. This card's going to be, this card is just crazy. Vision Resonator is also very good. We've got ultra rare reprint of Red Rising Dragon is really nice, so I'm really keen for this. This is the promo card that comes with the deck. It's a bit of an interesting selection. Red Supernova, Calamity, Scar Red. This one is another one that I've been really looking forward to. I think this card has a lot of really interesting capabilities as well. Bone Archfiend is a really good level 4. We've obviously got the other Resonators. Creation kind of need a reprint, was nice. Synchron, Red, Crimson, and you got some of these other just like classic Jack Atlas cards, which we probably won't be playing in even just our 3 structure deck version. Wandering King is great. Backcheck is interesting with the amount of trap cards. This is a potential possibility, but probably not. It's probably too slow. If we had Fiend Griefing, maybe we'd play that. The assault mode stuff is interesting. We're not going to play it because the Red Dragon Archfiend assault mode is just not that good. The Ascata, this is an interesting choice to include because this makes a Synchro 8 by discarding a card because it specializes from the hand or deck. However, the best Synchro 8 you really want to be making now is Scar Red. Obviously this can make the old Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, which is fine, but you need a non-tuner dark for Scar Red to be summoned. So this is an interesting choice. In the past, I've played Supe, the Duskwalker, which is, you can actually use the 2 to go into Red Rising Dragon, and then if you've discarded a Resonator, you can bring that back, which is really nice. So this is an odd selection. I think the Supe is far superior than that. Common reprints of the Dangers it is what it is. And Witch used to be just the classic level 4 normal summon, but I think we're a bit beyond that now. Absolute Power Force is really nice. Crimson Gaia is a really strong card. Bit sad that it's only in common. Some of the rarity spreads is very interesting. Like some of these synchro monsters getting like synchro, like these didn't really need to be synchros, supers. This one being super is what it is. Would have been nice as an ultra, but Anyway, Resonator. Oh no, I've mixed up what the cards are. I thought there was one of the Resonator cards in this, but it's not. Is one of your better kind of going second options, but we don't have that extra app, and then we've got all the trap cards. So I'll put a profile together and we will see what we can do. Okay, so here we are with the deck profile. This is probably one of the best ways. I mean, the ratios could always be tweaked, I guess, but this is probably one of the best ways to kind of start with the deck. We'll call this a pure Jack Atlas type profile here. But to start off with, we're going to have our 3 Soul Resonator. We're going to go with 3 Vision Resonator, 3 Crimson Resonator, and 3 Synchron Resonator. Just because we happily want to see these. You could potentially cut the Vision down 1 or 2 even, but the thing is there's just not much really to replace it with unless you replace it with more trap cards. This could be a fairly high number of Resonators, but it is what it is. 3 Bone Archfiend and 3 Wandering King Wildwind, because they're your best level 4s. Wildwind in the graveyard can banish to add back, or to add a Resonator from deck to hand, which is awesome. And Bone Archfiend is recurable from the graveyard by discarding or sending a card from hand or field to the graveyard, which is really nice. I've gone for 3 Synchron and 3 Vision, just because I've been doing some testing at locals just with my proxy deck, and sometimes you do actually run out of Resonators. This deck doesn't really want to grind, but by having just that little bit extra count means that the grind is that little bit better. Especially if you're making synchros like Bane or Abyss, you do want to have more targets to, I guess, summon, specifically Bane, because it does summon one from deck. But they are the monsters. The spells, we have 3 Pot of Extravagance, just because it draws cards. 3 Crimson Gaia, because between it and Soul Resonator, it's that 1 card combo. We've got 3 Resonator Call, it's just more consistency. Burning Soul is going to be our kind of best card going first, because I think this deck, the way the structure deck is put together is that you're going to have to go first with it. Like I said, going second, it's got no options outside of your synchro monsters, so there's not really any non-engine that can help you. Burning Soul is going to be your best card for going first. This is going to be how you Calamity Lock. I'm really disappointed that Synchro Call wasn't included in the structure deck. I think that would have been a really good option, because that way you'd have at least 6 copies between Burning Soul and Synchro Call, because they both kind of do the same thing. Burning Soul, if you don't know what it does, you've got to control level 8 or higher Synchro, but then you add a card back from graveyard to hand, which is really nice. Like, it's just free recursion for any card, so you could add back, well, yeah, anything, right? And then you immediately synchro summon using monsters you control as material. So you just set up the monsters on board for the Calamity Lock, and then you Calamity. It's probably going to be the best. Oh, there's an additional effect that after it resolves, your opponent cannot target synchro monsters on the field with card effects, which is a cute little bonus. But yeah, Burning Soul is going to be the best kind of non-engine trap card type thing that we have, really. And for the last spell, playing 1 Absolute Power Force. I explained in a previous... No, I didn't actually. I was in the comments, I explained it. In one of my previous videos, I talked about... I was talking about with someone in the comments about this card, and it's actually really lackluster. It reads nicely in theory, but yeah, there's a lot that it's going to make you fall short of damage. You can't just OTK with 1 monster. You really need to pair it up with another. Yeah, it's interesting, but we'll play 1 anyway just because we've got space in this type of deck. Then for the trap cards, we're not playing heaps. These are pretty much like the non-engine slots, like what Burning Soul and Absolute Power Force are as well. Fiendish Golem, I think, is a lot better than what I maybe gave it credit for initially. We're going to play with 1 Fiendish Chain just because why not? But Fiendish Golem's really nice. In my previous videos, I've been playing 1 Red Zone, and in this profile, we'll still play 1 Red Zone as well. But I think what I would definitely do in those 2 videos that I've posted already is certainly just swap out that 1 Red Zone for 1 Fiendish Golem, not with Chain. Chain doesn't need to be included, but in this deck we had space. But Fiendish Golem's just target a monster on the field with 2,000 more attack and banish it until the end phase of the next turn. And then if you control a Red Dragon Archfiend or a Synchro monster that mentions it, you can set the Fiendish Chain from deck or grave. But it's a lot stronger than Red Zone because you don't need the Red Zone, you don't need the Synchro monster specifically to get the effect, whereas Fiendish Golem, you can just target the monster and banish it, and then you get the additional effect if you control Red Dragon Archfiend or a Synchro that mentions it. Yeah, so I think the Fiendish Golem is just generically kind of better if you had to play one Red Dragon Archfiend, like spell trap that you're going to set going first. Fiendish Golem, is also not once per turn, so if you have multiple copies, then you can obviously banish multiple things, which is really nice. And playing 2 Red Rain, you could probably play 3. Red Rain's really nice, except it does sometimes become an issue. This card really encourages you to only control one monster, which, I mean, sometimes that is going to be the case, but yeah, so it banishes all monsters on the field except the monster with the highest level. So depending on how you've set up the board, you're probably going to have monsters with different levels. It's just how the Red Dragon Archfiends kind of work, unless you had like specifically Calamity and Red Supernova Dragon, but you should already be winning at that point. But otherwise, it's nice, especially when you only have one monster. And then I'm playing 3 Terrors of the Overroot. This card's nice. It's removal, which is pretty good. It allows you to kind of out things that you might otherwise not be able to out. But it's the main deck. Then the extra deck, we had to kind of build it for extravagance, so the ratios aren't super ideal. I'm playing 2 King Calamity because, like I said, the deck is trying to go first. If you banish your 1 King Calamity with extravagance, then you probably just lose with this version of the deck. 1 Red Supernova Dragon because it doesn't really come up heaps. It can certainly come up with your basic turn 1 combo, but you'd probably rather be setting up Abyss than Supernova. Well, that might not necessarily be the case. You'd rather be setting up Calamity, to be honest, but Red Supernova Dragon is still pretty good. Then we're on 1 Bane just because space only really allows us to fit in 1. Abyss is better, so we'll play 2. And then I've put a lot of value into the Scar Red with 2 Red Dragon Archfiends, and then 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend with 3 Red Rising Dragon, because this card is just the best. If you know how the deck works, Red Rising Dragon is the best card in the extra deck. It makes everything go. But that is going to be the deck profile. Keep on the lookout for more kind of content for this type of deck. Definitely going to take it to locals. I've got a couple of ideas to just fix some things up in the list I've already put together. I think I'm definitely going to start with the going second version of the deck. I think it's probably better, but definitely the Bestials are a really good thing to test out as well. I also saw a really interesting replay using Labyrinth cards, which I thought was fascinating because the level 4 Ariana allows you to search for a Labyrinth card. It's a level 4 Fiend, so you can use it with one of the level 2 tuners to go into the Red Rising Dragon plays, which I thought was very, very fascinating. Something that I'd like to test out in the future, but for now, I'm going to leave that one there. Super excited that this deck is out. Definitely give it a go with 3 structure decks if you want to at locals, but it's probably going to be a little bit rough. Definitely need to kind of add some staples to it to make it better, which is definitely one of the things that this structure deck did not do, is that it didn't really include any staples. You're only getting engine, and more engine as well. But otherwise, that'll be it for this one, and I'll catch you in the next one.